obsessiveness does not pay off well. In the atoll of Satawan, it's a small island named Kutu. And on this island lived a chief, the chief of Kutu. And this chief had a ravishing daughter. And he loved her so very much. But unfortunately, many men on the island and surrounding islands were as much in love with her. So beautiful and ravishing she was. But this chief, the chief of Kutu, he didn't want to share his daughter with anyone. He was too jealous of his daughter, and none of these men were good enough. So he decided he would take his daughter away. There was a little spit of land out in the ocean off of Kutu. And so he took his daughter out there and he built her a little house. And he brought all her belongings out there with her. And he only allowed one older woman out there once in a while to help take care of his beautiful daughter. And once in a while he would visit her as well. Now, as she stayed on this spit of land, out in the ocean, there lived a sea spirit. And this sea spirit, he saw the beauty of this young woman. And he thought the same thought as many of the men on the islands. And so this sea spirit, he made his way up onto the spit of land. And as he walked up onto that spit, the woman saw him. And she was frightened. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what he would do. And she had no way to get off and get away. And she watched as he came closer and closer to this island, her home. And he stopped just outside her house. And he asked her a question. Which is whiter, my teeth or the white caps on the waves? Now the girl, she thought, I know that the white caps are much whiter than his teeth, but will he be insulted if I say so? Will he try to kill me? So she said, your teeth. And a small smile came onto his lips. And he looked at her, and he asked another question. Which is thicker, the hair upon me or the bushes at the edge of the shore? And the girl thought again, I know that the bushes are much thicker than the hair on that guy. But should I say that? And so she answered, your hair. And a big smile came onto his lips. And the sea spirit walked into her house, and he sat down and ate with her. And she didn't know what to do. She was so nervous, him sitting there, she didn't know at any time what he would do. And he stayed with her. And he stayed with her. And the next day, the sea spirit went on back into the ocean. And every day, the sea spirit watched to see if her father or the old woman would come. And when they left, the sea spirit would come back out. And every day he would ask this question, which is whiter? And then he would ask the other question, which is thicker? And she always answered the same. And the sea spirit started to grow more confident. He thought the girl really liked him. And he felt in charge. And so he would hardly even ask the questions as the days went by. He would just kind of ask them and walk right into the house. And he stayed with her and stayed with her and stayed with her. And the girl was getting more and more frightened. She didn't know what to do. So finally, against her better judgment, she told her father about this. And her father, he was livid. He had moved her here to keep her away from everything, and this sea spirit had come to claim his daughter. And so he went back to his island, and he got the biggest cutting weapon he could. And as darkness fell, he came back to the island, snuck into her house, and hid, waiting. And the girl was so very nervous, knowing that sea spirit would come back, but that her father was there. And sure enough, he did. The sea spirit came out of the water, and he didn't even stop. He just walked up. Which are whiter, my teeth or the waves? And as he walked by the girl, she said, the waves. And the sea spirit stopped, the smile going away. And he looked at her and he said, which is thicker, the hair upon me or the bushes on the shore? And the girl, without looking, she said, the bushes. And the spirit he opened up these great claws of his, and his teeth came out like fangs. And he went flying at the girl, but the father came out and stabbed him and sliced him into bits. His body and his blood flinging all over that house. And the girl screamed. And father came over to her and laid her down in her bed. And quickly he scooped up all the bits of the sea spirit. And he quickly went away, distributing these bits all over the ocean. And he went back to his island. And he started burying bits of the sea spirit everywhere he could to get it as far from his daughter as he possibly could. And the girl lay stiffly in the bed, not able to sleep, just thinking about the horror of what just gone on. And she was rolling back and forth, trying to get out of her mind. And she looked up and saw a little drop of red on one of the posts in her house. And this drop started to vibrate. And a sound came out of that drop. And very soon, this object flitted by and stuck to it. An eyeball. And it vibrated more. And a claw came in. And it kept vibrating. And a leg. A brain. The face. And all parts of the sea spirit came flying in until it was whole again. And that sea spirit, he slipped down the post. And he turned to the girl. She was frozen in fear. But as he came closer, she started to scream, and he grabbed her around the throat and held her up and squeezed her to keep her from screaming. And he pulled out one of his claws, and he ripped open her body and pulled out her liver. And the girl was wiggling around inside of his hands. And he turned to face her, pulled out his claws, and right into the eyes. And he took that lifeless body and he set it down inside the house, her back to the door. And the sea spirit turned and walked out and disappeared into the ocean. And soon, her father returned to her house. And he came upon the land, and he called to his daughter, but she didn't answer. So he came closer to the house, and he called to his daughter, and she didn't answer. He stepped inside the house, and he saw her sitting there, and he called to her, but she didn't answer. And he reached out to touch her, and her body pitched over and fell. And he saw those empty sockets staring at him. And the grief just welled up inside of him. And he scooped up his daughter. And he carried her back to his island, where he buried her, his beautiful, lifeless daughter. And so I ask you to think about this. Whose fault was it? The sea spirit or the father? And let's have him on piano. Awesome. Wow. Wow.